I'm Ralph Sutton, and you can follow me everywhere at I Am Ralph Sutton, and my podcast, The SDR Show, at The SDR Show, or my health and wellness podcast at goodsugar.life. I have a brand new book called The 100% Guaranteed Guide to Weight Loss and Fitness, being sold on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Just write Ralph Sutton Fitness in the search bar, and you will find it. And as I said, you could find me everywhere at I Am Ralph Sutton. Thank you.
I interview mainstream models and people, and I interview adult girls.
Mm-hmm.
And have you ever run into the situation where you're talking to a mainstream person and you almost start asking an adult question because the conversation's going that way?
Well, the show's called Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll. So for us, there is really no off limits unless we're told ahead of time, don't bring something up, which has happened. And when they tell me that, I don't tell Jay, because Jay will bring it up like on purpose. And usually he won't bring it up if I don't tell him anyway. But one interesting thing that happened once is we are used to having porn stars that obviously, as you know, will talk about anything for the most part, right? And we had a couple of trans porn stars on the show. Then we had a singer of a band called Life of Agony who had transitioned from male to female. Still the singer of Life of Agony, changed her name to Mina, and now is the female singer of Life of Agony. And she came in to talk about a new album. Jay wasn't prepared to not talk to her like a porn star trans who is very open with who they are versus someone who is struggling with this, and asked some questions that hit her the wrong way. And there's the interview somewhere. She was really not happy. She almost walked off the show. Jay felt it and walked out of the room for a little bit. And I just tried to bring her down back to normal. But I think she hates the show. Like she looped me in with that and just hates the show and will never do the show again. I don't blame her, but it is what it is. It was a bad judgment on Jay's part, not realizing what you just said, that you can talk to one category of person differently because they're more comfortable with who they are or not struggling with it or is past that struggle. And, again, it goes back to what I said before. When I was doing radio, you had to size people up really quickly because you're live. There's no delay. You have to realize what you can and can't get away with pretty quickly. And sometimes you'd be a little more guarded. And sometimes you realize, I'll give you a great example. I had the singer of Living Color in once. Came in for a solo project, performed live. We didn't really hang out too much. We just came in and did the show because he was going to do a live show that night, came in and left. A week later, it's announced that he's back in Living Color and they're coming out again. So he calls in to promote, this is back on the radio show, that Living Color is back and I'm the singer. We reunited. And I said, hey, man, I've been meaning to ask you a question since the last time you were here. And he says, shoot, I keep in mind, we barely know each other. I said, since you left, I've had a rash on my penis that has not gone away, right? Which could have gone really badly, but I just felt that he was a guy that was going to roll with the jokes. And he just took a half second, goes, dude, I got a cream for you. You should have called me. Like made it totally like it was normal. And that led to us having a lifelong friendship. We've been friends for 20 years now, so it's about understanding. I think the more you do it, which I'm sure you feel this way too at this point, you can tell usually. Very rarely am I wrong on who I can joke around with and who I can't. Like we just interviewed this band, and we end every week of SDR asking about your first experience with sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And I could tell the one guy just did not want to answer the first sex story. He said something ridiculous. And I knew if I could have pushed and it would have gotten uncomfortable. So I just said, okay, we'll stick with that story. And we moved on because I knew he didn't want to tell it, so why? I don't see the need in forcing someone into being uncomfortable if we don't have to, I just think it's better for the show. I don't need to be the guy that makes someone break down on air. I just want you to leave thinking, I had fun on that show. That was fun,
For you as an interviewer, have you ever done an interview, anything where you felt you crossed the line?
I crossed the line. That's a good question. For me personally, well, so it's funny. Something really weird happened super recently. We did an interview with a band, and it was an interesting band because it was I'm not going to say the name out of respect for them, and I'll tell you why in a minute, but it's a husband and wife rock band, right? and they're not that big of a band, but I had heard a song and I really liked the song. So I actually was like, oh, okay, I would bring, they came to us. They said they were fans of the show and they'd like to come on. And I listened to the song. I was like, first thing you do, I think you probably do is too, you look at their social media, you look at their YouTube, you see how many followers they have. How big are they? Because I hadn't heard of them. And they weren't that big, but I'm like, the song is great. So I'll bring them on. Husband and wife. The husband had been in a pretty big band beforehand. And the Cliff Noted version is he writes all the music and plays all the instruments, right? She writes the lyrics and she's the singer. Good singer, for sure, but she's obviously a neophyte in the world of singing in front of a rock band. So we made a joke about their process to when they became a couple. Like, did he say like, hey, baby, you want to check out my studio? And very obvious. And they were rolling with it. They were laughing. It was fine. And then the camera cut off. And when the camera came back on, that's the world we live in. Sometimes it happens with Zoom.
Yeah.
Jay made a joke of how funny would it be is when the camera came back on, they didn't realize it, and she was blowing him, right? That was the joke. They laughed, and then it was like a go-to joke for the rest of the show. He made the joke a couple of times, the husband. We all were laughing about it. The next day, I get a long email from their publicist that she was mortified, she felt objectified, and she is asking us not to air the show. I thought it was weird because if you would have said at that first joke anything that you were unhappy or showed any sign of uncomfortability, I would have stopped immediately. But when the husband's making the same jokes, you assume everybody's on the same page. And we pulled the interview. We never aired it. And then they did a whole diatribe on their Instagram about how badly they were treated, but they never mentioned us. So I was okay with it, that they were unhappy. I really think it was more, if I'm being honest, she's still not confident as she's the singer because he's the more famous one. He's the guy that writes all the music. He's the guy that's, doing the songs, and she's beautiful. So yeah, people just assume, oh, the hot girl got the lead singer because she's also the husband, the wife, and she's not confident of who she is. So she automatically assumes the worst. Whereas I was actually legitimately a fan of the music. I really liked what I heard, and we made some dumb jokes. And, if you're comfortable, like I'm 6'6" and I'm Jewish, even though I'm not religious, make all the tall Frankenstein monster Jew jokes you want. I'm confident with who I am. And sometimes they're like, oh, that hurt. When I got fat, the amount of beige Shrek comments and fat fuck comments I heard, the truth hurts. But, I think it was the catalyst to get me into a good shape, maybe. But I don't know. That was the one that I felt bad on because I felt that she doesn't like us, And then the recent one with Sebastian Bach, where it wasn't my joke, it was Jay made a joke that Sebastian ended the interview in 10 minutes. And the rest of the show, we were talking about what just happened, and he got pissed at a joke. So, the bottom line is the show is called Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll. Listen to an episode. We make jokes. If you haven't done your due diligence, it's not 100% on me. It's a little bit on you as well.
Do you prefer to interview the more established people, the newcomers?
Well, to me, because the main reason to I like being a fan of whoever it is. I like being a fan, big or small, right? The reason I'll opt more for bigger people is the hopes of the retweets, the hopes of the regram,
right?
Because you're going to get exposed to a much bigger audience. If we had 10 million listeners a week, regardless of who was on the show, I would only put on people that I'm inspired by or people that I think have a great story and not think about, well, how is this going to play in the numbers? Because we make money based on how many people listen. So right now I tend to go with, I want bigger guests because of the reason that it helps with the numbers. The numbers don't lie. We see that every time we put on a big guest, the numbers go through the roof. And when we put on a smaller guest, the numbers don't do as well. And even if we make a mistake, like we just had, his name's Shannon Larkin. He's from a band called Godsmack and also a band called Apocalypse Blues Revival. And my producer sent me a screenshot and it said, Shannon Larkin, Apocalypse Blues Revival, Godsmack. I said, well, let's look at this. You're putting the most important thing as third. It should be Godsmack's
Right,
Shannon
right,
Larkin
right.
/ Apocalypse Brews Revival, because search engines are going to look at the first thing listed, and the first thing listed is a multi-platinum band versus a name of the guy that only super fans are going to know the name of the drummer, you know, and the new band nobody knows. So why are we burying the lead with Godsmack? You know, it doesn't make any sense. So we changed it to Godsmack's Shannon Larkin / Apocalypse Brews Revival.
Have you ever interviewed anybody? You did the interview and they were like, I don't want to say nobody, but nobody. And you wondered, like, why is this person doing this? And they went on to become like huge stars.
Like someone early on interviewed,
Yeah,
then ended
yeah.
up becoming big.
I mean, I've
That's a
interviewed
good-
girls. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I've interviewed girls who are like, yeah, so what?
Mhm.
6 months later, they won't even talk to me anymore.
Oh,
They
I'll tell you
just
the
blew
funny.
up.
Can you tell me a name, or you'd rather not say a name?
I'll tell you later, but okay.
Okay. So I'll tell you the story that made me laugh. There was a band, this is back in tour bus days. Their first album did not do so well, but I loved them, right? Loved it. The band was called Kitty, right? And their first single, they really didn't do much. It was like nothing. But I love them. I reached out to their band management and they said, oh my God, you know, we definitely want to do your show. We know the show. We'd love to. We're not going to be in New York until, you know, towards the end of the year, but 100% we're thrilled to do your show. In that time frame, their second or third single broke, and not only did they become superstars, they played SNL when they came to New York. Instead of doing my show, they stopped calling me back, right? They just ignored me. They became monsters. And then the next album came out and did nothing, and then they called me and said, hey, can we do your show? I said, what happened when you were going to do it? Like, you know, they totally forgot about me and blew me off completely when they blew up. So I reached out when they were nobodies. They blew me off when they were superstars. And then they reached out when they were back to being somewhat anonymic, you know, and anonymous. And I said, you know what? I don't think I have time for the interview now, because I was pissed.
I had a situation about a month ago, and I honestly can't think of the girl's name, but an agent reached out to me because they get new girls and clients, asked me to help promote this girl, and I did an interview and we did pictures, and I still to this day think everything looks gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
She absolutely hates the photos. She put one on her Twitter, but she trashed everything else.
Okay.
I ended up not using the interview or any of it. Would you have gone ahead and used it because she did it, or would you have respected her wishes?
I've had it happen a couple of times where I've respected the wishes, depending on how it went. So I'll tell you, this happened on SDR. We had Alexis Texas and Nikki Benz on, right?
I know them both very well, but okay.
And so they come in, and as soon as they got here, this is back when it was in my home, not in the studios. They were drunk, which is fine. I don't care, right? But they were obviously, they were either drunk or on something. They were not operating at 100% capacity, which is fine. Both beautiful girls come on and do the show. I would say it's going well. You know, they Instagrammed and tweeted out that they were here and blah, 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 and excited. And we do the interview. And about 20 or 30 minutes in, I bring up the fact that Nikki was from Ukraine, and now she's here. And I said, quite endearingly and sincere, I love stories of immigrants coming to America and making a name for themselves. That is what makes this country great, right? I am guessing she didn't understand the difference between immigrant and illegal immigrant, because she started to get very angry, saying things like, well, I'm not an immigrant, fuck you. I said, no, you are. She goes, no, I have I have a green card, or I'm a citizen. I pay taxes. I said, cool. You can't be president because you're not born here. You're an immigrant. I said, and I tried to downplay it. Like, look, it's not a bad thing. Everybody here in the room at the time, there was like 6 people, are at least 2 generations away from immigrant, if not first generation here. And we go around the room, and like my producer at the time was a black guy. His parents were from Africa, so he was first generation here. One of my assistant producers, her parents were from Russia. She was first generation here. And I said, and I'm the worst one because my father's from Syria. So, you know, I'm basically half Syrian. At the time, it was during the Syrian refugee crisis. And she goes, you're Syrian, you fucking terrorist, and blah, blah, blah. It was a shit show. They end the show. They walk out, right? they call me an asshole because they don't understand the difference between immigrant and illegal immigrant. I decided to take that whole clip out because it was during the Syrian refugee crisis and use the hashtag refugees welcome here, which was big at the time, and put it everywhere. The clip got, I don't know how many thousands of views, but a lot of views.
No.
She started getting hate mail. She threatened to sue me if I didn't take it down, but that I refused to take down. I was like, you're an asshole. You didn't admit you were wrong and apologize, and I'll take it down. Then she tried to sue me. She had her fans take down the SDR show website, like hackers took it down. I had to get it put back up. But she sent me an email from a lawyer that she was going to sue me, right? And I was like, look, I spoke to my lawyer. You're in my house. There's a mic and a camera in your face. There is no assumption of privacy. Sue away, And then she eventually backed down. I never heard from her again. But it definitely was a stressful time at that point, but I did not take it down. There's been 2 or 3 other instances of SDR where someone called me and said, can you please take it down? And I did what I told you. It's like, look, it's out there. It's everywhere. I'll take down our source file, but I can't go after every single person.
Right.
But I'll take it down. Like one of them there was this gorgeous porn star. She had just shot her first 2 or 3 porns, or maybe first scene. It's been a few years. She was unbelievably beautiful. And she was talking about it, her first time doing porn. She then, after we did the episode, it aired, and it was her first episode, her first porn scene was coming out in 6 months. She decided not to do it. She asked them that she didn't want to be in it. She pulled the scene, never came out, whatever. The episode did really well, and she called me because her younger brother was being bullied in school because of the episode. It was being shared in the high school out there. So she said, look, my brother's miserable. So I said, look, of course I'll take it down. I'm not an asshole, but I can't prevent it from existing.
Right.
But I took it down.
You mentioned Nikki Benz and stuff like that. How do you handle situations where you run into those people later?
With her, I've never seen her again. The one that happened that was really weird was, oh my God, what is his name? Chuck Zito, who is a very well-established, tough guy, ran the Hells Angels, was a bodyguard, is a little older than me, but can certainly kill me. There's no doubt about it, right? And he didn't do the show, but he had a show on my network that never came out. He did 3 or 4 episodes and then decided he didn't want to do a podcast. And this was a big clusterfuck for whatever reason. But he still wanted to get paid, rightfully so, even though we did only the 4 episodes. And we spent thousands of dollars on contract negotiations for him to do 4 shows and decide he didn't want to do it. But whatever. I get emailed from his management, and I email back, where would His Royal Highness like the money? Sent. Me not realizing that he was BCC'd on the chain, and he responded, I'm coming to get it from you. So he was coming to kill me. There's not kill me, but at least punch me, right? So my plan was, well, I'm not a fighter. I'm not going to beat him. And even if by some miracle I could beat him in a fight, which is never going to happen, there's a at the time, there was a Hells Angels clubhouse 2 blocks from here. Do I want to be known as the guy that beat up a former lead Hells Angel? Not that it would ever happen, but he by some miracle did.
Right.
So I just told my producer, look, I'm going to just let him punch me in the face. I'm going to have my hands down by my side, and I'm going to say, if you need to feel better about yourself by punching an unarmed guy in the face, go right ahead. I'm not going to hit you back. I'm just filming it for my Instagram. And whatever happens, happens. And when his manager got wind of the fact that I was doing that, they talked him out of coming over to do it, right? So it didn't happen. I ran into him a year later at my studios. I just said, hey, what's up? And he said, what's up? And that was it. We didn't talk about it. I don't need to dwell on it. I'm well confident that he can kick my ass if the situation should arise. So I have no reason to get into it. But in general, I've had beefs with people over the years. It's at 50 years old, it's too much effort to keep an anger going. Just if you want to hate me, hate me. There are people that hate me. There's a guy that did a 1-hour podcast called Why I Hate Ralph Sutton, and it's fine. I know I'm confident enough with what I've built and who I am, and if you hate me, you hate me.
You still do the cancer sex charity events?
I was doing them on a cruise. I worked with a couple of charities over the years. I did one that was for animal shelters and stuff like that, and I did the cancer thing for years. But it's on the Shiprock cruise. I didn't host it last year, so I wasn't a part of it. But if I host it again this year, I probably, next year, they just announced it's for 2022. I would definitely do it. I love being a part of it. My father died of cancer, so anything I can do to help that charity, I'm all for it.
How did you get involved in the Queer Eye show and all that?
That was on, it happened very organically. Back in 2003, my co-host of my radio show at the time, she had seen the first episode. She came in that Saturday and said, this would be the best thing in the world to blow up our show. At the time, we were on about 25 stations. And I said, you're right. We looked for the worst picture of me we could find. We downloaded their application. I tried to make my responses as entertaining as possible. And a few days later, they called me. They were looking for a radio guy. And it ended up being the most watched episode ever of the entire series in 2004. It came out in February. And I'm able to verify that with 100% accuracy because in October, I flew to LA to be part of the reunion special that's coming out next year. So I was the only guy there. There's a new TV show launching called Reunions, where they take a classic cast of a show and they do one more episode. So they asked me to be part of that episode. So I was out in LA in October and we filmed one more episode of Queer Eye.
And for you, what is your criteria for a bad metal song?
You know what's funny? I believe there's only two kinds of music, good and bad. And I could find a song I like in every genre of music. And having said that, what speaks to me may not speak to you. There is no right or wrong in music. Like, I don't shit on anybody's musical taste. If you love bands that I think are goofy, that's just how your ear interprets the world. Just like with a fascinating thought, like you look at my remote control here, it's black, right? There's no denying it's black. You think it's black, I think it's black. But what your eye sees as black could be different than my eye. Right. Our versions of that color could be completely different. We'll never know. I can't see in your eyes. You can't see in my eyes. We just both know that these molecules, this reflective pattern, we've both identified as the word black, but we don't know what it means to each other, right? Having said that, same thing with music. What speaks to you and speaks to me are very different things. When it comes to metal, I like gang vocals. I'm a big fan of gang vocals. The big groupie chorus songs. Yeah. I love crunchy guitars, and I love a vocalist that can really sing. I'm not a Cookie Monster growler guy. I don't like that at all. I like a guy like a Halford that can go between high and low, or Sebastian Bach that can sound good in either register. Those things speak to me. And I know that that's not for everybody. And I don't like ridiculously long songs. I don't like when it's idiotically fast. I need choruses. I need something I could sing along to, because that's what makes me happy. A lot of people don't like that. They want, like I was listening to, I got pushed a new band today to come on SDR. I can't remember their name, but it sounded like Cookie Monster vocals to me. And I was like, how is this? To me, it doesn't sound like music, but it doesn't mean it's bad. It's just bad for me.
Have you ever had a band or somebody get back to you and you said you didn't like their song on a radio show or something and say, like, dude, what's your problem?
No, I won't shit on a song. I may have made fun of one of their albums in a joking way, or a song in a funny way, but no, I don't, I respect anybody that got to this, anybody that's gotten to the point where they have an album out, they have a book out, they're acting in a movie or a TV show. I mean, you've gotten so far past where everyone else has gotten. Something got you there, and maybe it's not what directly speaks to me, but I can appreciate it. Like, I had a guy on, I forgot the name of the band now, but his music does not speak to me. It was a band, but they sell millions of records. I can't remember who it is right now. And I just said to him, look, dude, you're obviously like a real musician. You are phenomenally gifted. But it's just not. I wouldn't say, like I've said it many times on my radio show for years, a band that is a 100% smack dab in the middle of what we should be playing was Rush. But I don't like Rush for whatever reason. They never spoke to me. I get it. They're phenomenal musicians. They're all great at what they do. But there's like 2 songs I like, and that's it. I don't know why. That's who I am. It doesn't make me a bad person. I just never got into Rush.
2020 is almost over. 2021 is almost here. In your opinion, in today's society, is promotion more important than talent when it comes to being successful?
You know, it's funny. Unfortunately, yes, I agree with you 1,000%. It is. I watch, it makes me feel like an old man when I watch TikTok and I watch Instagram of synchronized dancing or lip syncing to a movie scene. And these people have millions of followers where I spent my entire adult life cultivating a skill set that is now really not important. It's not, in the terms of social media, it's not important. A great interview, a, you know, the art of conversation, it's just not important anymore. It isn't. But I mean, I could be lamenting it, or I could, if I was the best beeper salesman in the world, what are you going to do? Your job is gone. You have to pivot. That's why we pivoted to podcasting. But, in general, podcasting does skew a little older because it's not for the 18-year-olds. I mean, there are some that like it, but the most part, it's 30s, 40s, people that still appreciate long form content. And that's not to say that there aren't others that have figured out ways to do it for short form. But, you know, I cannot get into TikTok. I've tried, and I just watch these dumb things. And my brother, who's we're twins, same age, super into it. I hate it. I see it as everything that's wrong in the world, and I wish that we could go back to like when I got into radio. There was like 8 jobs for radio in New York. If you didn't get one of those 8 jobs, you weren't in New York. And that's why now the fact that everyone can do everything, the barometer of the barrier of what's considered talent just keeps dropping and dropping because there's so many people doing things that don't require any talent.
Do you think the shorter stuff is because people have such short attention spans?
100%.
Or they just don't care?
I think it's 100% short attention spans. That's all. It's all it is.
And that's because they're trying to become more successful on social media?
Yeah, I think that, look, Instagram is a 1-minute clip, and that's it. Same thing with TikTok. It's a 1-minute clip. Twitter is 240 characters or 280 characters. You have to learn how to cut time. Like the amount of times I've written a tweet back in the day when I cared about that and had to shorten my diatribe into 140 characters is crazy. And you just realize that if you can do that, it just shows you how the art of conversation is not important. It really, it depends on what you're concentrating on. Like, I don't give a shit about social media. I have someone doing it for me. I don't pay attention. I'd rather be doing this. So I focus on this. I only use Instagram to meet women.
Where will you be in 2021? Anything specific you want to promote or talk about?
Well, I mean, the main thing is the SDR show twice a week. Gas Digital, we have a code right now, gasdigitalnetwork.com. Use the code SDR30. You get a 30-day free trial. My goal for 2021, get the vaccine and travel. That's what I want to do. I want to start seeing the world again. I've been staying home a lot, and the idea of getting out and seeing the world again is very exciting to me. Go see my mother. It's the longest in my entire life I've gone without seeing my mom. It's been a year. My birthday is on New Year's Eve. I'll be 51. So I just would really like to go out and experience the world again. That's my goal.
I'll use myself as an example for this question. I've been a big adult fan my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
I consider myself one of the luckiest people you'll never meet to have been able to transition into working and doing it. I started basically when I was 20 years old. I'm 57 now.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, some of my priorities and perspectives have changed, but I still have that same energy that I had when I was 20, even though my body's just slowed down. For you, do you have the same type of situation with radio and podcast and all that?
Well, I always say this. The most fun I have every week is that hour I'm on the air. Whether it's
right.
The 2 SDRs or Good Sugar, I still get as genuinely excited to do a show as I did in 1999 when I first started. I still love the idea of creating things out of my mouth and make money from it. It's an amazing thought that you can just, thoughts in your head, comes out your mouth, people are engaged enough to buy products, to listen, and to share your show. To me, it's a wonderful gift that I'm able to do it. And with my health and wellness show with Good Sugar, I've really learned to live in the moment more, appreciate the moment more, and experience things as they happen, as opposed to looking back on them or thinking about it after the fact. Really live where you are right now. Don't think while you're doing a show. Don't think, what am I going to do tomorrow? What about Friday? What about the Bills? What about that? Appreciate that you are here and you're able to do this, where a lot of people don't get to do that. So I find it all fascinating. Yes, the network can sometimes really grate on me. There's probably 80 people that work at Gas Digital, and I'm the guy that fixes the problems most of the time. So that is stressful, paying bills, being responsible for all these people, especially during COVID. It's been draining. I feel like I've aged exponentially. But when the dust settles, we all get to do this thing that we love to do. And that's, to me, it's a gift. It's such a gift that I get to do this every day.
So then you consider yourself having a career or a job?
100% a career. 100%. You know, I mean, I don't even think. Rarely do I even have ever said it's a job. I've never even thought about it as a job. You know, for me, it's been a hobby that's turned into a career, or a dream that's turned into a career. Who would have thought? Like, you could say the same thing. A guy that's been a fan of the same thing forever. Now you get paid to talk to these people. I mean, who the fuck can say that? There's such a select few of people. You know, there's 1 million podcasts right now, right? And of the million, 90% of them have less than 200 listeners. So you're dealing with 100,000 podcasts. So if you have 250 listeners, you're in the top 10% of podcasts. That's pretty fucking amazing. You should be embracing that. If you have 5,000 listeners, you're in the top 5% of podcasts. So to be where I am, which is the top 1% of podcasts, it's an incredible feeling. I'm thankful every day that I get to do this every day. So the good far outweighs the bad.
Before your father passed, and I'm sorry for your loss, what did you tell him you wanted to do radio and you were doing all this? Was he supportive? Was he surprised?
I give him credit. He was always super supportive. He was from real estate and retail. He did not understand this world at all. But when I did radio, he used to tune in from his home, and he would always like listen and comment. And you know, I remember Gas Digital was just starting when he passed away, pretty much. It was like 4 years ago, a little 4 years ago. And I remember telling him that we got our first big check. I don't remember how much it was, but I said, Dad, you know, he was in hospice at the time. And I told him, I check cleared today for whatever amount of money it was. And I saw his eyes light up, and he goes, really? Like, he was so happy that I was making money again, because I stopped making money. You know, radio started to die, and I left to do the podcast. And when I told him it was a pretty substantial check for the time, I could see such genuine happiness in his eyes, you know, and it was nice. He always I used to have crazy long hair. I had earrings. He never once ever said anything negative about it. He was very understanding with all that. Same thing with my mother. My mother was my mother's still alive, but my mother was in entertainment. She gave Ray Romano and Chris Rock and Joy Behar and all these people some of their first times on stage. So she was always a big fan of entertainment.
I know you mentioned you never want to be satisfied, but do you have goals? You'd like to be the Joe Rogan point? Would that be, I guess, making
Joe
it
Rogan,
to you?
I mean, everybody wants to be Joe Rogan, but Joe Rogan is Joe Rogan. There's never going to be, I don't think there's anybody that comes close to those numbers. I could be wrong, but in the unscripted comedy platform area, I don't think there's anybody that comes within, you know, half of the listeners he has. So I don't think that's ever going to be happening. I would like to see us, like, I look at, I had the, not on my show, but she was in my studios, the CEO of Barstool Sports. And she said, which was very interesting, that this is right before COVID hit, we were where they were before she came in, like right when she came in to take over the company. And she took them from where we were then to an $800 million company, whatever they sold for. It was crazy money.
Right.
So I see us this coming year, to potentially be at the point where we can get to that next level. I don't think it's going to be 800 million, but if we could get to where we are a major player in the podcast network landscape, that is a real goal of mine.
Would you compromise if you knew you'd make $800 million? If someone had said, tone down your interviews, change, be more commercial?
It depends on it's a vague statement. I actually had this conversation with my business partner yesterday, because we talked about that. And, you have to weigh what are they asking versus how much you're getting to see that happy medium. Because the truth is, they can always just go back and look up stuff. So no matter how clean you went going forward, they could go back to the beginning and see, oh, they weren't always that way. So I think it wouldn't work out. You know what I mean? Like, I feel that would end up hurting you more. So I don't think that would happen. Like, I don't know. I can't answer. If you could tell me with 100% assuredness, nothing bad's going to happen from the past catalog, then I would say, yes, I'd do it. But I have a feeling if we went mainstream, they're going to dig up the past and say, oh, he said this and they did this. And, but that's why I feel like it would not be worth taking that deal because it would bite us in the ass.
So you'd feel more comfortable like everybody's popular favorite underground cool band that's never had a #1 hit, and then they get a #1 hit and they sold out?
Yeah, it's funny. Like, I look at, I think Barstool's a very good, like-minded platform where they're not politically correct, but they've cleaned up their act somewhat, but still not at all what they're not like Podcast One, which is super squeaky clean. They are still very much slightly off center.